The call came while I was choosing between two shades of ivory ribbon at the craft store. My phone lit up with Claire's name and I almost didn't answer. My sister only called when she needed something or wanted to deliver bad news wrapped in concern. "Hey," I said, tucking the phone against my shoulder. "I need to tell you something." Her voice had that particular quality, satisfaction poorly disguised as regret. "I had to cancel your wedding venue." The ribbon slipped from my fingers. "What?" "Riverside Estate. I called them this morning and explained there was a family emergency. They were very understanding." She paused and I could hear her smile through the phone. "Mom agrees it's for the best. You're rushing into this and honestly, Jake deserves better than a backyard ceremony at some rental property." My throat tightened. Jake and I had chosen Riverside Estate carefully. 9 months of planning, deposits paid, vendor coordination completed. The gardens in October would be perfect, the historic mansion providing exactly the backdrop we wanted. "Claire, that's my wedding. I'm trying to help you see reality. You can't afford a place like that. I looked at your finances last month when you asked me to review your taxes, remember? You're living paycheck to paycheck at that little nonprofit job." Her voice dripped with false sympathy. "Jake's family has standards. Better to cancel now than embarrass everyone in front of 200 guests." I stood in the craft store aisle, surrounded by tulle and baby's breath, while my sister systematically dismantled the single most important day I'd been planning. Other shoppers passed, oblivious. "I have to go," I said. "Don't be angry. You'll thank me later." She hung up. My hands shook as I opened my phone and texted Marcus, my property manager. "Did someone call about canceling October 14th? 3 dots appeared immediately. "Yes. Claire Anderson called claiming family emergency. I told her only you can make changes to your own property." She seemed confused. I typed back, "Please call her and clarify ownership." The response came quickly, "Already done. She's calling you back in 3, 2, 1. My phone rang. Claire's name flashed again, but this time her photo looked different. Smug smile now seeming precarious. "What the hell did you do?" Her voice cracked. "The estate manager just called me. He said you own Riverside Estate. That's insane. You can't own that property." "Why not?" I kept my voice level, still standing among the wedding supplies. "Because you work at a nonprofit. You drive a 10-year-old Camry. You live in that tiny apartment in..." She stopped. "This is some kind of mistake. You're lying to them." "When did you even..." 3 years ago. June 2021. I purchased it through an LLC after the previous owners decided to retire. I picked up the ivory ribbon again, examining it in the fluorescent light. The estate generates about $42,000 annually in event revenue, plus the residential rental on the guest house. It's been quite profitable. Silence stretched between us. I could hear her breathing, sharp and irregular. "That's impossible," she finally said. "Where would you get that kind of money?" "The same place I got the money for everything else." I moved toward the checkout, ribbon in hand. "Did you really think nonprofit directors make $30,000 a year? My salary is $93,000. It's been that since I took over 4 years ago." "You told me you were struggling." "No. You told me I was struggling. I just stopped correcting you." The cashier smiled as I approached and I smiled back. "You've been telling everyone I'm barely surviving for years. Meanwhile, I've been acquiring real estate and managing a 7-figure operational budget." Mom said what you wanted her to say. "You showed her my tax return from when I was 24 and working part-time. That was 8 years ago, Claire." I paid for the ribbon, collected my bag. "She never asked to see current information because you'd already convinced her I was the family charity case." Another pause. When Claire spoke again, her voice had changed, smaller, uncertain. "Why didn't you say anything?" I walked out into the September sunshine, warm on my face. "I tried. Remember my promotion announcement 4 years ago? You talked over me to discuss your kitchen renovation for 40 minutes. When I mentioned purchasing investment property, you laughed and changed the subject to Jake's job. Every achievement I shared, you reframed as cute or modest or nice, sweetie. That's not. Last Christmas I mentioned the estate expansion project. You said, 'That's nice, Emma,' and immediately asked Mom if she'd seen your new Cartier bracelet." The memory was crystalline, my mother's attention shifting instantly to Claire's wrist, the gold catching light from the tree. I stopped trying to be heard. I started documenting instead. Documenting what? I reached my car, slid into the driver's seat. The leather was warm from the sun. Everything. Every dismissal, every interruption, every time you spoke over me or reframed my success as failure. I have a spreadsheet. I call it the ghost ledger. That's insane. Is it? I started the engine. Row 1. March 2019 family dinner. I announced my director promotion. Cost. My confidence, your attention span. Value extracted. Zero recognition. Row 14. June 2021, Dad's birthday. I mentioned purchasing Riverside Estate. You laughed. Mom asked if I needed money. Cost. That specific moment of pride never recovered. Row 27. Your engagement party last year. You told everyone I was your struggling little sister, while I stood right there. Cost. My dignity, your guests' pity. Value extracted. Social capital at my expense. Emma. There are 63 rows, Claire. 63 documented moments where you extracted something from me. Attention, money, emotional labor, credibility, and gave nothing back except dismissal. My voice stayed calm. It felt like describing weather. The last row is today. You tried to cancel my wedding to prove I couldn't afford it. Plus, my trust. Value extracted. Temporary superiority. Except this time you miscalculated. I could hear her crying now, soft and shocked. Part of me wanted to comfort her, the old instinct worn smooth from years of use. But I'd learned something about emotional slot machines. They only pay out when you stop feeding them coins. I need to ask you something, I said. Do you remember the gambler's fallacy? What? It's the belief that if you keep playing, eventually you'll win. That the jackpot is mathematically inevitable if you just keep feeding the machine. I turned onto the main road, heading home. I treated our relationship like that. Every dismissal, every interruption. I thought if I just kept trying, kept achieving, kept proving myself, eventually you'd see me. The validation would come. The jackpot was inevitable. I do see you. No. You see a version of me that makes you feel superior. And I kept feeding that machine because I believed in the eventual jackpot of sisterly love. I stopped at a red light. But the house always wins, Claire. And I finally realized I was playing at a casino designed to extract value from people like me. She was openly sobbing now. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. You did realize. You just didn't care. The light turned green. Let me tell you what happens next. October 14th, I'm getting married at Riverside Estate as planned. You're not invited. Mom's not invited. Dad received his disinvitation this morning after I learned he helped you try to contact the venue. The guest list has been updated to remove 17 people who treated me like your PR disaster. You can't. I can. I did. It's my property, Claire. I own it. The caterers are confirmed, the florist is booked, and the string quartet has been paid. I pulled into my apartment complex. You wanted to prove I couldn't afford it. Instead, you proved you never bothered to know who I actually am. Please. We're family. The word hung in the air between us, heavy with expectation. Family. That supposed trump card, the relationship that supposedly superseded all boundaries and consequences. Family isn't who shares your blood, I said quietly. It's who shows up when blood isn't enough. You've never shown up, Claire. You've extracted and diminished and mocked. That's not family. That's a pyramid scheme with genetics. I parked, turned off the engine. The afternoon sun slanted through the windshield, warm and golden. I have to go, I said. I'm meeting Jake's parents for dinner. They're the ones who taught me what actual family support looks like. They asked about my work, listened to my answers, and celebrated my promotion by taking me to dinner and actually remembering the details. Revolutionary concept. Emma, wait. No. The word felt clean, like finally setting down something heavy. I spent years waiting for you to listen, to care, to see me. I'm done waiting. The account is closed. The slot machine is unplugged. And I'm walking away with exactly what I came with. Myself. I hung up before she could respond. The following weeks unfolded with the systematic precision of dominoes falling. Claire called 17 times the first day. I blocked her number after listening to the first 3 voicemails, each one oscillating between fury and devastation, never quite landing on genuine understanding. Mom called that evening. "Emma, sweetie, this is ridiculous. You can't uninvite your own family from your wedding." "I can and did. You have a copy of the updated guest list in your email. But we're your family. You're Claire's family. You chose her narrative over my reality. For 8 years, you believed I was struggling because it was easier than asking me directly. You accepted her version of me because it made her look better. I was cooking dinner, chicken with lemon and rosemary, the kitchen filling with familiar smells. When I tried to correct the record, you weren't interested. That's not fair. Mom, last Thanksgiving I brought the financial report from the nonprofit showing we'd housed 14 families that quarter. You said, 'That's nice, honey,' and asked Claire about her furniture delivery. The report is still in my car where you left it." Silence. "I know you love me," I continued, stirring the pan. "But you love the version of me that doesn't challenge Claire's self-image. I can't be that person anymore. It costs too much." "What does it cost?" Her voice was small. "Me." I turned off the stove. "It costs me." She hung up without saying goodbye. Dad tried a different approach. Anger. "You're being petty and vindictive. This is your wedding, Emma. You'll regret excluding family." "I won't. I'm including family, just not the people who treated me like an expensive liability." I was reviewing vendor contracts, making notes. "You helped Claire try to cancel my venue, Dad. You drove her to the estate because she said I was making a mistake. You didn't call to ask my side. You just assumed she was right. She's your sister. And I'm your daughter. But you picked a side years ago. I signed a contract, dated it. Remember when I won the Regional Nonprofit Leadership Award 3 years ago? $1,000 prize, recognition ceremony. The governor's office sent a representative. Of course I remember. You left before my speech because Claire called upset about her performance review. You missed the entire ceremony to comfort her about receiving exceeds expectations instead of outstanding. The memory was precise, watching him walk out while I stood backstage, award in hand. That taught me where I rank in the family hierarchy. I'm not angry about it anymore. I just learned from it. Emma. The wedding is October 14th. You're not invited. Claire's not invited. Mom's not invited. That decision is final and non-negotiable. I stacked the signed contracts. If you show up anyway, security has your photos and instructions to escort you out. Riverside Estate has excellent security. I made sure of it when I purchased the property. He sputtered something about ingratitude and money wasted on my education. I hung up while he was mid-sentence. The procedural dismantling of their expectations took on its own rhythm. Claire tried to contact Jake directly, blocked. Mom attempted to reach out through my friends. They'd already heard my side and declined to participate. Dad threatened to make a scene at the wedding. I forwarded his email to my attorney, who drafted a cease and desist letter that arrived via certified mail. Each boundary I set felt like removing another coin from the slot machine. Each consequence I enforced was a step toward the exit. 3 weeks before the wedding, my Aunt Karen called. She was Mom's sister, someone I'd always liked but rarely saw. "Emma, I heard what happened. Your mom called me upset." "I'm sure she did. I want you to know I believe you." Her voice was careful, kind. "I've watched Claire diminish you at family gatherings for years. I said something once and your mother told me I was being dramatic. I stopped trying after that." Something in my chest loosened. "Thank you. I also want you to know that I won't be attending your mom's birthday party next month. I'm done watching that dynamic play out." She paused. "I'd love to come to your wedding if you'll have me. I promise to actually listen when you talk about your work." I added her name to the guest list that evening. October 14th arrived with clear skies and perfect temperatures. That specific autumn warmth that feels like a gift. Jake and I got married at Riverside Estate, surrounded by 87 people who actually knew us, who'd listened when we spoke, who celebrated our achievements without diminishing them for contrast. The ceremony took place in the garden where I'd first envisioned it 3 years ago when signing the purchase papers. The historic mansion glowed in the afternoon light. The string quartet played Pachelbel flawlessly. My nonprofit board president officiated, speaking about partnership and chosen family with the authority of someone who'd watched me build something real. Claire didn't show up. Neither did Mom or Dad. Their absence felt like space rather than loss. Room to breathe, permission to be seen. At the reception, Jake's mother pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you," she said simply. "Not just for today but for protecting it." "Thank you." I meant it completely. Family should be your safe place, not your sacrifice. He squeezed my hand. "You deserve people who show up." I looked around the reception. Colleagues who'd celebrated my promotions, friends who remembered my achievements, Jake's family who'd welcomed me with genuine curiosity about my work. Aunt Karen was laughing with our photographer, already planning to attend the nonprofit gala next month. This was family. Not the people who demanded entry based on genetics, but the ones who'd earned presence through consistent care. 6 months later, I'm writing this from the estate's master bedroom, the owner's suite I renovated last year. Jake and I moved in 3 months ago. The property management continues smoothly. The nonprofit thrives. My savings account grows monthly, no longer drained by the emotional tax of people who extracted without returning. Claire sent a letter last month. 5 pages of apologies and realization, promising she understood now, begging for another chance. I read it once, filed it away. Maybe someday. Maybe not. The urgency to repair what she broke isn't my burden anymore. Mom texts occasionally, short messages asking how I am, never quite acknowledging what happened, never quite apologizing for choosing Claire's comfort over my reality. I respond politely and briefly. The relationship exists in a holding pattern, neither growing nor completely severed. Dad hasn't contacted me at all. I'm not angry about any of it. I'm just done playing the slot machine. The gambler's fallacy kept me feeding coins for years, believing the jackpot was coming. But the real jackpot wasn't their validation. It was learning I didn't need it. The ghost ledger sits in my desk drawer now, 63 rows of extracted value and dismissed achievements. I don't look at it often. It served its purpose, showing me the pattern clearly enough to walk away. Sometimes late at night, Jake asks if I regret cutting them off. I think about that craft store aisle holding ivory ribbon while my sister tried to cancel my wedding. I think about the years of being reframed and diminished, the achievements dismissed, the careful extraction of value without recognition. No, I tell him honestly. I don't regret it. The estate is quiet around us. Our home. Our choice. Our family, built on attention and care rather than obligation and genetics. The account is closed. The balance is 0. And I am finally in the black. The silence feels different now. It feels like peace.